Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button so we can continue to pump out the content that I know that you want us to pump out. Updates coming out of Minnesota Vikings training camp. Man, the connection that J.J. McCarthy is making with the fans, man, is absolutely phenomenal. If you guys been looking at all the stuff that's been coming out of Vikings training camp in terms of J.J. McCarthy and basically what he's doing to connect with the fans, now, not only is he doing well on the field, but after the field, he's staying, signing autographs, doing all the stuff that a future franchise quarterback needs to be. Hats off to J.J. McCarthy. And for all intents and purposes, man, only really one practice that he's had over the last couple of weeks where he didn't shine. And again, there's been a lot made about should he be going up against this full-fledged Brian Flores defense? And my whole question is, why would you try to protect J.J. McCarthy? I honestly get the feeling that there's a little bit of unrest. No one's ever going to say it, but I just get the feeling that there may be a little bit of unrest within the Minnesota Vikings. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I just think it's kind of an annoyance that as they're trying to teach J.J. McCarthy the playbook, they're trying to teach him the nuances of being a starting quarterback. I believe that Brian Flores' defense and how he approaches teaching his defense is a little bit annoying. I think it's a little bit annoying to the offense coordinator. I think it's a little bit annoying to KOC, but I think it's a good annoyance, man. I don't think it's anything that's detrimental to the chemistry of the team and people not getting along. But I've been in those type of situations where, you know, you're the offensive coordinator, you're trying to get this done, and here is the defensive coordinator, they're trying to get their stuff done. And then at times it just doesn't mesh. But this is going to be a good situation for J.J. McCarthy. See, I think your practices, I've always gone by this mantra when I coach. I think your practices have to be harder than your games. Man, if you could create an environment like that all the time, where your practices are more intense, more difficult than your game, when those game situations start to occur and you're faced with those, everything's going to slow down for you. And I think that's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy. I just have a feeling that when J.J. McCarthy starts to play from week to week, he's going to be like, man, this ain't nothing compared to what I face every day in practice against B-Flow. Like I said before, it's like taking an honors class in trigonometry or calculus. When your mind gets used to the complex, the simple really becomes the simple. Man, I'm really, really looking forward to that first preseason game. Talk to me. Put this in the comments, man. Let me know. Thor came out and said a couple of days ago that he kind of found out what the schedule was going to be for J.J. McCarthy in this preseason. And it sounds like J.J. McCarthy is going to get a couple of possessions in the first preseason game. And then they're going to shut him down for the rest of the preseason. Not shut him down in practices. Obviously, he's going to have joint practices. Obviously, he's going to practice every day. But in terms of preseason games, Minnesota Viking fans, Skull Nation, Purple Gang, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get one preseason game to see J.J. McCarthy. Now, I understand, bruh. Like, I get it. You want to protect your most valued asset, and that's what J.J. McCarthy is. Your most valued asset. You could argue that J.J. McCarthy, Justin Jefferson, your most valued asset. We're going to get to Justin Jefferson later and how the Vikings should approach Justin Jefferson. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about J.J. See, I'm on the side of the fence, and I know a lot of people don't agree with me, man, that J.J. McCarthy needs rep, man. J.J. McCarthy needs to play. Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals has come out and said he's going to play in every preseason game. Now, whether or not his coaches let him do that or not, that remains to be seen. But at least he's come out and said, hey, I need the reps. Why would a veteran like Joe Burrow need the reps and a guy like J.J. McCarthy not need the reps? See, I think J.J. McCarthy needs the reps, man. Like, he's got to play. And tell me this, you old school NFL players out there, old school NFL fans out there. Like, when did this start to turn, man? Like, was there a rash? Honestly, think back in the history of the NFL. Was there a rash of NFL quarterback injuries during the preseason? Like, were guys getting busted up for the year, tearing their ACLs in preseason? Because it used to be in the first preseason game, you maybe saw your starters for like one possession. And then your second preseason game was like first quarter, then the rest of your guys came in. And then your third preseason game was kind of your dress rehearsal, where you played 3 quarters of that preseason game. And then your fourth preseason game, you were trying to make some cuts and make some decisions about some dudes. So you really didn't see the starters really at all in your fourth preseason game. And so they played all the guys that were draft picks, free agents, guys that were on the bubble trying to make the team. What happened to that formula, man? I can understand if you are a running back and you're toting a rock and you're taking hits, or you're a defensive, offensive lineman, or you're somebody on defense. I can understand if you are of value, man, anything can happen on any play. But you're talking about a position in quarterback where you just rarely ever get hit. And then with a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who didn't practice last year, this is his first time at the helm learning the playbooks, you would think playing against live bullets would be beneficial for a guy like J.J. McCarthy. I just don't understand the formula. I can't say that I agree with it. I want J.J. McCarthy to be ready to go, even though the pushback is going to be from a lot of UP Nation out there and a lot of Purple Gang, Skull Nation. I think they're going to say, well, look at J.J. McCarthy's season last year. He got hurt last year in the preseason. I believe that he came into the Minnesota Vikings organization with that injury. You can't remember the play in which J.J. McCarthy got hurt. There was not like there was this bingo bango play where J.J. McCarthy got hurt. I believe he had a pre-existing injury before he came to the Minnesota Vikings, and he aggravated it against the Raiders in that preseason game. I just don't understand it, man. I just think there are guys that just need to play. Obviously, if they're playing a position where they're taking multiple hits every play, I get the concern. But J.J. McCarthy needs to play, in my opinion, at least some in every preseason game. Or he arrives in Chicago with a couple of joint practices under his belt, a preseason one-game appearance under his belt. Man, I just want J.J. McCarthy to be ready. I don't want any snafus that first game against the Chicago Bears. I want total domination. I want him to be ready because I don't want to hear from Bear fans, man. You think I want to hear from Bear fans that Monday night? Man, I may not. If the Minnesota Vikings don't come out in that game on the winning side, I may not even come on Monday night, man. I don't feel like hearing from the Chicago Bear fans. Do you? UP Nation, Skull Nation, Purple Gang? Man, I just feel like J.J. McCarthy needs to play. That offensive line, man, is coming together. Christian Darrisaw, Will Fries. Man, it's Will Fries or is it Will Freeze? Why do guys on ESPN talk about Will Freeze? I've heard multiple guys over the past couple of weeks talking about Will Freeze. It's Will Fries, isn't it? Somebody put it in the comment. It's like, does Fries go with that shake? It should be Fries, correct? Why do everybody keep saying Will Freeze? But anyway, the offensive line is starting to come together, man. It really looks good when you have doing drills and you can see the Darrisaws, you can see the Will Frieses, you can see the Ryan Kellys, you can see the O'Neills, you can see the Jacksons. Man, when these guys look together, that offensive line is a behemoth. That offensive line is huge, man. and you're pleased at, here's where I give Kwesi and KOC a lot of credit, man. I'm just pleased that they recognize a deficiency, and now this whole thing just looks completely different. Doesn't it, UP Nate? Those of you that have been out to training camp, have you seen the size of these guys, bruh? Have you seen the size of these guys? Our offensive line didn't look like that last year. Man, we're going to be, PA used to always call our offensive line the Minnesota Moving Company. Well, now that name applies. Like, that is an accurate name because these guys are going to be moving people. And I'm talking about they're going to be moving people right now, this instant. Minnesota Moving Company, man. This offensive line is looking great, and I'm telling you, like, there hasn't been a lot of emphasis put on the Minnesota Vikings running game, but dude, this is going to be the biggest insurance policy for JJ McCarthy, because if there was ever a year where we're going to run the football, man, it's going to be right now. Like, we are going to be able to run that football down people's throat, and it's only going to enhance the passing game. And I don't think we're going to be run heavy like a Jim Harbaugh system, man, but we're going to have a system in place where the balance is going to be there and defenses are going to have to guess, because we are going to be effective all over the place in the offense. And I think you're really going to see this thing, man, within the red zone. Think about it. Think about how many times we got into the red zone last year and we couldn't punch that thing in. It cost us games. It cost us games. And you look at our record last year, the 14-3 record, man, those 3 games that we lost, if we were a little bit more efficient in the running game and be able to punch the ball in the red zone, we win those games. Think about what our record could have been last year. I think it's going to be the biggest area of improvement for the Minnesota Vikings. Offensive line is coming together. Now, let me talk about B-Flow's defense, because I touched on it and where it is compared to the Minnesota Vikings. It is common in the NFL where you have defenses that are ahead of offenses all the time. I think if you check training camp right now, unless you just have a terrible defense, I just think that there are a lot of defenses out there that are way ahead of the offenses right now. But this is a little different in Minnesota Vikings training camp. Those of you that have been out there, again, please hit that like and subscribe button. Those of you that have been out there, man, it is a little different. And I think the difference that you see is that our defense is going to be NASTY, nasty. Purple Gang, UP Nation. This is going to be a nasty defense, bruh. This is going to be a nasty defense. I just hope and pray. Like, I was just talking about JJ McCarthy needs to get reps in these preseason games. Man, for those preseason games, I would just put all these guys on the shelf. I wouldn't unveil that defense until Monday night versus the Chicago Bears. Listen, man, it is going to be, I'm calling it out right now. Remember, I said this is going to age really well. Remember, I'm calling it out right there. Sorry, Chicago Bears fans that tune in. Sorry to hurt your feelings, but I'm telling you right now, that game against the Chicago Bears Monday night to open the NFL season, it's going to be rough for Caleb Williams. You're talking about, there's so much going on in Chicago Bears training camp. Have you guys been watching the news and reading the stuff and listening to the stuff that's coming out of Chicago Bears training camp with the offense? Ben Johnson pulling the first-string offense off the field and the debacle that's going on with Caleb Williams. I told you the system didn't fit. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, that don't fit. He's going to have to change the way he plays. And when you start to mess with people's habits in the way they play, I'm not saying that it can't work out, but you're going to be a little bit more hesitant in your decision making and a little bit slower to make freaking decisions, man. And so that's the Caleb Williams that you're going to see on Monday night against this defense. Oh, man, I think that thing is going to go south quick on Monday night. New system, new coaches, new coaching staff, different expectations, different standard for Caleb Williams while taking trigonometry calculus. The things that Brian Flores is going to do to him is going to put him in an honors class, man. And is he ready for that honors class? Is he ready for that honors class, man? I don't think he's going to be ready for that. That is going to be a show for the Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a show. Remember, I said it. Those of you that likes to put a couple of dimes down on games, bruh, depending on what the line is for that game, that's an easy bet. You can always bet the money line. You won't get paid as much, but you can always bet the money line. That game, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be ready for what Brian Flores has to throw at him. And that front seven, that NFL analysts are talking about the best front seven in football. My guy Patrick Buchanan that was on with me the other day is talking about, man, this is kind of like the Purple People Eaters. You've never seen another defense like that in a long time for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I wouldn't call them the Purple People Eaters. That's a standard for the Minnesota Vikings. That remains to be seen. If they turn out to be the Purple People Eaters, man, we're going to make a run in the playoffs. We just had John Turner on, Minnesota Viking cornerback, great. He could tell you some stories about the Purple People Eaters. I don't want to throw any disrespect that way, but, hey, if they're that good, bruh, man, oh, man, the season that the Minnesota Vikings are going to have. One standout I want to talk about is my guy from The Ohio State University, Jeff Okudah. Let me tell you this, man. Did you see KOC's press conference yesterday? KOC's press conference, when he was asked about Jeff Okudah, there was no hesitation, no concern about Jeff Okudah in his voice at all. As a matter of fact, he says, man, you guys see it when he lines up, how physical he can be at the line in press coverage. He went out of his way to praise Jeff Okudah from The Ohio State University. That says a lot, man. That says a lot. KOC is not above praising his guys at all, but this was a little bit different. He was like, there is no concern. And right now, Jeff Okudah, who everybody thought was a little bit suspect, is etching out a nice role in that third cornerback nickel spot, whatever you want to call it. There were people, when we signed Jeff Okudah, there was speculation that Jeff Okudah may not make this team. I think Jeff Okudah is a sure-in right now. You can book that, UP Nation. Jeff Okudah is turning heads in practices right now. And so this is one of these guys where Kwesi likes to reach in to the free agent bag of guys that were highly touted, drafted high, like Jeff Okudah was, that maybe haven't worked out for other teams. I think my guy Patrick Buchanan made a really, really good point. Sometimes you get yourself in bad situations, and it's not about you. It's not about your skill set. It's about the coaching that you get. You can make the argument, look at Sam Darnold. Jets, Panthers, garbage. 1 year with the Minnesota Vikings. He's in the conversation for MVP of the league. So sometimes it is about your coaching that you get. I can tell you right now that Jeff Okudah hasn't had a guy like Brian Flores coaching him and mentoring him, getting his stuff together. I think that's safe to say. And there is really no good reason why he shouldn't ascend at all. It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Another good news, Josh Metellus got his bag. Like, listen, I think Josh Metellus needs to be on this team in 2025. I respect and love Josh Metellus. I think the contract was fair. I just think the Minnesota Vikings need to stay as flexible as possible, because I'm just going to inform whenever I talk about contracts and what these guys get, and I express concern about these contracts, man, I am not saying that these guys don't have value for the Minnesota Vikings, or I want them gone, or we shouldn't pay them. I just think there comes a time where you have to make hard decisions. And where the Minnesota Vikings dilemma is, I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe me, go and research it, is they are going to have next year some salary cap issues, not big issues, not detrimental issues, not issues that they can't get out of like they were with Kirk Cousins years ago. I just think the whole thing of having a guy like J.J. McCarthy is that you want to have that salary cap flexibility. And as I said before, you're either going to have to make decisions now when you're in these contract negotiations, which is tough decisions, or you're going to have to make tough decisions later. And I'm telling you, the Minnesota Vikings are going to have to make some tough decisions next year. You can't keep everybody, and you still want that flexibility. I mean, the luxury of having a guy like J.J. McCarthy, if he hits, is that each year you can continuously start to build around J.J. McCarthy. If there is an area of concern, bang, we got the flexibility to be able to fix that. Kwesi has shown in the free agent market that he's pretty good. So my whole thing is, when these contract extensions start to roll out, my concern is always cap flexibility, no matter who it is. I never want to get back into a situation where we just don't have that flexibility. Sooner or later, we're going to have to pay J.J. McCarthy. But right now, man, I'm sitting back with my feet up, sipping an iced tea, because we're under that rookie scale contract. It's a luxury. It is shown that it is a formula that wins. It is a formula that wins you championships in Super Bowls. So while I'm glad that Josh Metellus got his bag, man, I just want us to be as flexible as possible in that cap, man. So Josh Metellus, congrats. Glad you are a Minnesota Vikings. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to hear from me anytime we get one of these extensions. And it's not going to be on the side of, hey, we shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying, okay, now that we did it, what does the salary cap look like? That is always going to be my approach, UP Nation. Skull Nation, Purple Gang, Minnesota Vikings Nation. Man, this is Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button, man. For the next week, we're going to continue to have my guy, Patrick Buchanan, on. UP Nation, you guys glad that Patrick Buchanan is back? He just adds a different element to the show. He just adds a different element to the show. I love having him on, having him bringing his insight. I mean, he works right next door to the Minnesota Vikings facility, so he gets all the juicy news, gets a chance to interact with a lot of the players over there, man. So please hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to be continuing to pump out the content that we pump out. Love to engage and talk to all of the UP Nation fans out there, my dudes and the Purple Gang, my dudes and my gals in the Purple Gang. Can't wait for Skull Fest. I'm going to make an appearance at Skull Fest, man. I'm going to make an appearance at Skull Fest. I can't wait to be there. Also, myself, Patrick Buchanan, we will be at the joint practice versus the New England Patriots, man. Come on down and say hi. We would definitely be there. Chilling, watching the joint practice. Can't wait for that, man. Can't wait for that. Again, this has been Unconventional Playbook. We will make sure, as always, to see ya when we see ya. Skol!